Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond My Knowing. My name is Kris Hakkila, and this is a little backstory on me. I've been a contractor my whole life, and I never thought that I would start a YouTube channel about my Ascension journey. I have seen things in my visions and my third eye that are absolutely crazy, and yet I still think I'm sane. But my friends might think a little different. All of these stories that I'm about to tell you are actual events, or I've seen them in my visions. Some notes here. So a long time ago, I got divorced, and I had met a woman after that I spent time with for about 11 years. And near the end of that relationship is when I started my awakening. But before that relationship ended, one night when I was sleeping, I had two symbols astrally projected onto the inside of my left leg. One was a triangle, which was representing the pyramids, and the other one was a solid circle representing the moon. When I woke up, I thought that I had been abducted by galactic beings. I swear I was abducted. What I eventually found out 3 years later was that those symbols had been put there by very high frequency beings that overlooked the portal in Machu Picchu in Peru. And that's going to come in a little bit later in all of this. Just a little bit later after that, in one of my visions, I was told these words: when the light is cast, does it change what you see? And I'm kind of think that, about that saying is you start to see things and believe things, and then all of a sudden it's illuminated, and do you still see what you thought that was all about? Let's start with the year 2022, January 2022. I was going through my breakup of my 11-year relationship, and I was heading over to my best friend's house, Kendall. And I was heading there to stay the night. The night before, I had a vision. I saw myself dancing with a woman with long dark hair and a long floral print dress with a black background. Once arriving at Kendall's house, we ate some dinner, and then we sat on the living room couch to watch something on TV. We were flipping through the movies and finally decided on something that neither one of us had ever seen. As we are watching the movie, and the movie was just about over, the woman that was in my vision was in the movie. I couldn't believe it. She was wearing the same identical dress. Black background, floral print on top. It had a little bit longer, not long sleeves, but 3/4 sleeves. And she was dancing by herself in this movie, and it was the same identical woman. So I was thinking, geez, my visions, they must be back. So that night, I slept on Kendall's couch in his living room, and I was almost asleep when I sensed 3 footsteps coming near me. I didn't hear them, but I felt each of the 3 footsteps press into the floor and come closer to me. Then I felt a finger being pressed onto my lips by this energetic being, and then it left. Kendall, he's my soul brother. He's been a lifesaver since we met, which it's been quite a few years. I think it's been about 15 years now. So after this happened, a series of events occurred over the next few days. One night, I had a dream of one of my old dogs that had passed away, and she was licking my face. When I woke up, it was 4:44 in the morning. The next night, while I was sleeping, I felt 2 taps on my bed to wake up, and it was 4:44 in the morning. The next night, when I was sleeping, I felt someone sit beside me on the bed, and there was no one there, but someone sat next to me, and the time was 4:44 in the morning. And then the next night, I had a dream that I was getting a fishing lure unstuck, and when it came free, I woke up and the time was 4:44 in the morning. I think I'm trying to be told that everything in this life is connected. So I decided to drive to the Oregon coast for a week to try and clear my head and try and get back on track with life. As I was driving through the coastal range, I could sense that there were other energies in my Jeep with me. And so I just figured I would start talking to them. Like, I know you guys are here. So this is what I said. Okay, everybody, you probably know where I'm going. You've probably seen the future of where I'm going and what I'm doing. You share with me these pieces of the puzzle that I am trying to put together. I am just moving forward slowly. I'm seeing these signs that you give me. Help me to understand life and where my soul is and where my soul is going. I know we will be together in another life. I know our souls will be together in another realm. I can't be afraid of death. And I can't be afraid of life. I will always be looking for your pieces to the puzzle. Always. And that kind of set the mood for the whole week at the coast, was looking in and experiencing these different energies that I just knew were with me. During that trip, I had this vision. My visions happen at nighttime. And it was about all these really strange angles. So I was an enlightened being flying through the sky. And there was a man and 3 women inside of a large gray-colored stone building. The walls were all very smooth, and the walls were at really odd shaped angles. So think of everything as love and light, and your body will just keep getting lighter and lighter. Soon you'll start to float and fly through the air. This place was magical with love. That was the feeling that I had during that vision. Next, in March of 2022, I've started meditating more often now, and I decided to go see an intuitive. During my intuitive session, Kuan Yin, Kali Ma, and Mother Gaia came forward, and they said they would assist me during my meditations. I also found out that one of my incarnations was in Egypt. I was a king that ruled with love and compassion. The people thought highly of me, and I died of old age. My intuitive, she also told me that I have 2 guardians with me, and they're huge. They're over 8 feet tall, and they're kind of like Thor on steroids, just big boys. These guardians have been with me to protect me in all of my incarnations, and they're still with me today. They're in the backyard at 2 corners of the property. So the next thing I did was I made an appointment to go have some energy work done on my body. And it was the first time I've ever had energy work done. when I walked into this woman's office, I laid down on her table, and she handed me 2 crystals that were sister crystals. And she said, hold on to these during the session. While I was laying there with these 2 crystals, I could sense my 2 guardians were in the room with me, if you can imagine that. During the session, she told me that both of my legs were blocked at my thighs, and that was keeping me from moving forward in my life. And I also saw my spirit animal, a dolphin. The dolphin was so real, I could touch it. And when it swam off, I felt it close to my hip bone in my abdomen. And when he swam off, I could feel his tail flutter underneath my skin as he swam off. I will never forget that feeling. When my energy worker was ringing chimes in the office, I could see the sound waves. And as the sound of the chimes quieted down, I began to see lights and orbs. They would get brighter and then turn into rings. Then I saw the large wings of Mutugawik. He's my thunderbird in my meditations. When our session was over, the sister crystals I was holding on to, they were burning hot from all the energy that was flowing through my body. June 2022, that night after that energy session, I was told these words, just one sentence. A lack of clarity does not make them less genuine. And I think at the time there must have been some people in my life that I wasn't sure of. And this statement just tells me or tells anyone that you can't judge a book by their cover. So the next thing I did was I really started to get involved with my meditations and going deeper and deeper into my meditations and kind of creating my own sacred space. In my sacred space, in my meditations, this is what it looked like. It involves the ocean with rolling hills of tall grass with the wind blowing through it. And at the top of a hill are aspen trees with a very large 6-foot dahlia that's orange. And this dahlia is what I sit on in the aspen trees. I have 2 animals in my sacred space, a thunderbird named Mutugawik and my dolphin, and his name is Yemoja. Here is a typical meditation in my sacred space. Today is magical as I drift in and out of meditative consciousness. I'm on the back of Mutugawik, flying over the rolling grass hills in the warm breeze, with Yemoja following us, swimming and jumping out of the tall grass of the rolling hills. Mutugawik and I fly towards the ocean. You can smell the water and the mist from the waves. Yemoja jumps from the rolling hills of the grass into the ocean, and he follows us out on our flight to find our path of existence. As we come back, we fly above the rolling grass hills. Yemoja is still following us and jumps from the water into the tall grass. Mutugawik flies up towards the aspens and lands near my orange dahlia. I give Mutugawik blessings for allowing me to be present, and she bows her head, and I slide down her strong back And as she takes off, Yamoja comes up and rubs up against me in the tall grass. My life is on track and everything is magical, synchronistic, and in abundance. In my sacred world, my spirit animal, Yamoja, can swim in the tall flowing grass of my mind. In my world, there are no limits. Everything is possible. And there's loving light everywhere. I am the emanating source of that abundant light and love. My next vision is I see a woman that has a tattoo on her thumb and forefinger. And we are at a tea house. We talked for a little while she was working, and then a tear fell from her eye. August 2022. On August 8th, my intuitive and I went out to dinner to her favorite restaurant, and we talked for hours. When we arrived at the restaurant, it was full of people, and when we left the restaurant, it was completely empty, and we were still sitting there talking. The conversation we had was delightful and engaging, and it was funny. We talked about our past lives and our heart chakras, and we talked about the light and the fire. And since that day, we haven't looked back. Shortly after that, I was going to Hawaii to give my mother's ashes to Pele. My mom had died in 2019, and her ashes, she wanted them to be spread over Waikiki out in the water. So on the plane flight to Hawaii, it was a long flight. We were at 37,000 feet, and my head was leaning against the bulkhead in the plane. And I was starting to doze off. And I was quickly awakened by a very loud wolf growl in my right ear. There was just a growl. And it startled me, and it woke me up, and I'm looking around in the plane, and everyone was just going about their business. It was, that growl was meant just for me. And 2 days later, when I was in the hotel room with my sister and my nephew, we were sleeping, and at 3 a.m, I heard a very loud screech, something that you would imagine a phoenix might sound like. And I sat up in the bed super fast and looked around the room, and my sister on my left, my nephew was on a cot in the front. They were all sleeping and snoring. And I was the only one that heard this screech from a phoenix. So now, my intuitive, who is now my beloved, she was not able to come to Hawaii this time. But I talked to her every morning between 3 and 4 o'clock because of the time change. And also, I couldn't sleep past those hours. So one morning at 3 o'clock, when I was talking to her, I walked to the beach. And while I was walking on the beach, she all of a sudden told me to stop exactly where I was. And she told me, don't move, because I was talking to her on the phone. She could see my mom and dad on the beach with me. They were holding hands and walking towards me. When they reached me, my mom put her hand on the front of my heart, and my dad put his hand on the back of my heart. And we stood there together one last time. And then my parents walked down the beach towards Diamond Head, hand in hand. Okay, September 2022, vision time. I see a dragon chasing the sun in the sky. My beloved is the dragon, and I am the sun. My next vision, I see a man with no shirt, and he has a staff that he's holding on to with a brown beard and a mustache, walking on top of a sand dune. The very first thing that comes to mind is Siberia. And I never knew that Siberia ever had sand dunes. My next vision, I'm looking down at myself cooking dinner from the night before, as if I was watching myself cook. My animal guide was with me, and I saw him swim through my body as I'm watching myself cook. October 2022, vision time again. Kendall was in this vision. It starts out, Kendall and I both jump into a swimming pool. There are other people in the pool too. Kendall is wearing a button-down tan plaid shirt, and when he walks up the steps to get out of the pool, I am behind him. He is almost ready to step onto the deck when he collapses. When I get to him, I try to get him to open his eyes, so I give him a sternum rub to try and wake him up, and then I start doing chest compressions. While I'm doing that, I can hear someone say, "Call 911." And then he comes to, and I hold him, and then I wake up. I'm glad that didn't really happen. November 2022, vision time again. And these are beings from Xylon. 2 energetic light beings visited me in my sleep last night. The best way to describe them is the word wispy. They told me that it was dark, so I could see their energy. Their shape looked like elongated X's that were created with the energies of their light. And I didn't know what to think of this. And so I checked in with my soul brother, Hank. He channels Source. And he told me that these beings were from the center of the Milky Way, from a place called Xylon. They have come to me as ambassadors to invite me to travel there. They are gatekeepers, as I am the central sun. More spirit animals. My visions are no longer showing me the future. They are showing me past lives and spirit animals. This night, I am drifting in and out of frequencies. At first, I was talking to the mountains. They were telling me all 7 grandmothers are aligned with the 7 mountains. And then I see my hand, and it has a white and blue flame border around it. Then I see a black wolf that ran in front of me across my path, and I saw a close-up of his face, and I saw a symbol on his forehead, and it looked like a version of the number 7 with dots underneath it. The next night, a dragon's head is shown to me, and the dragon's neck is laying on the ground. Then his eye opens up, and the same black wolf hops out of his eye. Now my vision of the wolf emerging from the dragon's eye is making sense to me. The dragon and the wolf are both of my energies. My dragon enters through my right side and flows through my wolf on the left side. Last night in my vision, this is a different vision. Last night in my vision, I was on a road overlooking a small lake with a house on it. There was patchy snow on the ground, and two people, husband and wife, were playing in the lake with swimsuits on, smiling and having fun. My beloved checked in with Spirit and asked Spirit about what this vision meant. And Spirit said that this was me having a reboot, that a reboot was going to be happening. Okay, well, that's it for today. Thanks. That's all for today. We will be continuing on December 2022 in the next episode. And thank you for listening. And thank you for being here. Hit the like and subscribe button. And I will see you on the next episode. Until then, shine your light and raise your frequency.